Hello, in this video we are going to install our first Ionic native plugin, which is the Geolocation plugin. Now with the Geolocation plugin we can get the device's coordinates like the longitude and the latitude, and with that information we can use it to obtain the current weather data from the Open Weather Map API. But before we install the Geolocation API or the plugin, we need to run our server so that we can see how it looks on the browser. Now I'm going to open up my terminal and navigate into the project. So I'll cd then into the project. Now inside the project you need to run Ionic serve. If you run Ionic serve outside of the project, it's going to throw an error. Now to start the server, we just run the command Ionic serve. Then you can either run Ionic serve, hit enter, or if you want to make use of the Ionic labs, that is, you want to view your project on Ionic labs, then you need to add the -L flag. So with this -L flag, I'll hit enter. It's going to open up the project using the Ionic labs. So right here, as you can see, I have the dev server running, and if I go to the browser, it automatically opened the page on the browser. Or once you have your server running, if you are running just Ionic serve without the -L flag, you can visit this port localhost :8100 then /Ionic-lab. Now it's going to open it up in this view. Now, if you don't want to use this Ionic lab view, then you can just run localhost, then you add 8100. If you hit enter, this is how the page is going to look like if you are not making use of the Ionic lab. So we are going to use this mostly. Now, as you can see, if I go back to the terminal, you can see we've seen that it runs on port 8100 and we have the dev server running. If I go back to the browser, right here, this is how the page looks like. We have the home page, then we have the tab. Now inside the tab we have the home, and also we have the list. Now we are going to delete this list. We are not going to make use of this list. Every page we are going to use in this application, we are going to create them from scratch. Now if I click on this, it's just going to increment, but we don't need this. So if I go back to the home page, I can toggle. Now this side menu is added inside the app.component.ts. So let's see that. If I open my project, right here inside the source, then app, open up the app.component.ts. Now this is where you have the side menu. Now for your applications, mostly the side menus will be added or used inside this app.component.ts. But if you want to create a new page to hold the side menu, you can do that. Then you later have to move all of these codes into that page. We are not going to do that right now. We are going to leave the side menu the way it is. Maybe later when we are refactoring the codes, we can then move the codes from this app.component.ts into a menu page. So if we go through this first, let's open the app.html. Now, as you can see, we have this Ion title, which is what we have right here on the side menu. Here we have the title. Then we have this Ion content. Now inside the Ion content, that is where every code displayed in the body of the page will be added. Inside the Ion content, we have the Ion list. We have the button. Later we are going to see how to add all of these. If I go back to my app.component.ts, you can see we have a pages array. Then inside the pages array, we have this objects with title, then the component with the component name, and also we have this method, which is what we have here. So if you click, if I add a new page, if I change this name to say something different, to like menu, then I hit save, then the server is going to restart, as you can see right here. then open up the tab. You can see now that the name has changed because we changed it from this array, but we are not going to use it this way. Then also, if I go into the pages folder, we have the home page with home.html. So everything you have here, that is what is being displayed right here. So if I change this to just Ionic, then let me take this one out, hit save, then go back to the browser. Right here you can see this is how it looks. Right now, if I click on this drop down, you can see we have 3 platforms. We have the iPhone, Android, and the Windows platform. Right now we can see we are only on the viewing the Android platform. You can click this, so we'll see how it looks on the iPhone. Click on the side menu. This is how it looks for iPhone, and this is also how it looks on Android. We can do the same for Windows as well. So wait for it to load, then I click here. So you can see this is how it looks on Android, iPhone, and the Windows machine. So right now we have it running on the browser. What we need to do now is to install the Ionic native plugin for geolocation. Now, to install that, let's visit Ionic framework. So ionicframework.com. Now here on this page, we are going to see the different native plugins that are available in Ionic that we can use in our application. Also, we are going to see how to use the UI components and also how to use the different APIs. So if we click on these developers, you can see we have the UI components, the API reference, and the native plugins. Also, if you want to get some development resources like some tutorials, you can click on these dev resources. You're going to see some tutorials on how to get started and how to build some applications using the Ionic framework. But for now, we are going to click on these native plugins. We want to use our first Ionic plugin in our application. Now, right here on the left, as I showed you in the last section, we have these different plugins that can be used or we can add into our application. Now we have the plugin for 3D touch, our browser usage, adding AdMob to the application. We also have like to get background location. We have different APIs. If you want to implement Braintree payment gateway to your application, we have the native plugin for it. You want to create a calendar application, you have the plugin. You want to create maybe a video application where you can use the camera, this is it. So we have different applications or different plugins that can be used in our Ionic application. But the plugin we are going to use now is the geolocation plugin. You can either search for it right here, geolocation. Here you can see we have the background geolocation and the geolocation. The one we want to use is this geolocation so that we can get the current location of the mobile device. So if I click here or just scroll down somewhere here, you can just search for it. Here you can see we have geolocation here as well. So if I click on this now, it's going to open the page, show us how we can add and make use of this geolocation plugin. Now, if you're on this page for the geolocation plugin, it says this plugin provides information about the device's location, such as latitude and longitude. Now, we want to get this latitude and longitude. If I visit the Open Weather Map API, I showed you that we can get weather data using coordinates. So let's scroll down somewhere here. Here you can see by geographical coordinates, we can make API calls using the latitude and longitude if we know them. So what we want to do right here is to use this plugin to get the coordinates or the latitude and longitude of our device. Then with that, we can use it to make the API call to this Open Weather Map. So now what we need to do is we need to install 2 plugins. First, we need to install the Cordova plugin, and also we need to install the Ionic native geolocation plugin. So if I increase this here, zoom in, you can see first says install the Cordova and Ionic native plugins. So I can either do it inside my terminal here, or I'm going to just open a new terminal for using Node.js command terminal. So let me just clear this, then navigate into my project. So then cd into weather Ionic. So right now I'm inside the project. To install the plugins, first I'm going to add this Ionic Cordova plugin, add Cordova plugin geolocation. Now if you are using a previous version like version 2 and version 1 of Ionic, but I believe we are using the latest version of the Ionic and Cordova platforms. So if you are using the previous version of Ionic, you just need to call Cordova plugin. You don't need to add Ionic. But now if you're using Ionic version 3 and upward, you just need to copy this. We don't need to add this variable geolocation usage. Just copy Ionic Cordova plugin, then we add the name of the plugin. So I'll just copy this, open my terminal, then right here I'm going to paste it. So I'll paste this here. So this is the plugin name, Cordova plugin geolocation. So I'll hit enter. I'll wait for this to install. So right here, the installation is complete. I have installed the Cordova plugin for the Cordova plugin geolocation. Now the next thing I need to do, let me go back to the documentation, is to install the Ionic native geolocation. So I can just copy this out from here. Copy, then go back to my terminal. Let me clear this. Then I'll add the npm install at Ionic native /geolocation with a -- save flag. So I will hit enter. Now this is going to install the Ionic native geolocation plugin into our project because we are adding this save flag to it. Now I have the Ionic native geolocation plugin installed as well. So if I go back to the documentation, we have the Cordova plugin installed, also the Ionic native plugin installed inside our project. Now the next thing we need to do is to add this plugin to your apps module. Now if you recall, I said whenever you install any Cordova plugin, it adds it to the Cordova the config.sml file. But now for the Ionic native, we need to add it to our app.modules.ts file. Just as it says here, add this plugin to your apps module. Now let's go to our project. I can close this one as well, then close this. Now whenever you install any new Ionic native plugin, you must add it into your app.module.ts file. Otherwise, you are going to get an error, or you can't make use of the module itself. So we have the geolocation module or plugin installed. So if we go first, let's open up our node_modules folder. Here inside the node_modules, we have the @ionic-native folder. So if I open it, you can see we have the geolocation module. We have the splash screen that was added when we created our project, the status bar that was added as well when we created our project, then the core was added as well when we created our project. But the one we just installed is this geolocation plugin. So if I open index.d.ts, so you can see we have different interfaces inside of this file. Now what we need to add is this geolocation. So let me close this. Here I'm going to import geolocation from @ionic-native then /geolocation. So with this now, we've imported the geolocation plugin into our app.module.ts, but we still need to do one more thing. We need to add it into our providers. So down here, you can see we have different keys inside the ng module objects, like declarations. If you create a new page, you add it into the declarations. If you import any Angular module, you add it into imports. If any page that is added to declarations, you also add it to entry components. Then for Ionic native or any provider that is created inside our project will be added into this providers array. So right here, I'm going to add geolocation. So now with this, we've added the geolocation plugin and also added it into our providers array. Right now, I'm going to end this video here. In the next video, we are going to see how we can use this geolocation plugin to get the latitude and longitude of our device's current location.